All right, so today is going to be I'm not actually sure what the entire video is going to be about, but all right, Michael, we're going to show them a fancy game of tag.
Yeah.
About how you're super fast.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Where are we going to play tag?
On the playground.
On the playground over there?
Yeah, we're not gonna play yet.
Are you going to show the internet your new tag powers?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Michael, who's going to win?
Huh?
Am I going to win? Because I'm big?
No.
I bet I can tag you super fast.
I bet you can.
Oh yeah? Just don't even move then.
Fine, try and tag me this.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa. What the? How'd you get over there?
Teleport, dude.
What do you mean teleported? You can't teleport.
Tablets.
Okay, let's try again.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you. Now you're over there again. Whoa.
Hello.
Why, you little? Whoa. Whoa.
Mommy, is this one dry?
Hey, Michael.
I think so, baby. It didn't look like it was actually wet very much.
What should we do next?
Actually, yeah.
What?
But you can't teleport away. Whoa. Ugh.
I'm gonna show you how I teleport.
Oh yeah? Okay, fine. How do you do it?
Like,
Okay. Do you say that hurt?
yeah.
It hurts to teleport?
Yeah.
What?
Go like.
Just, some kids, they have unique talents. All kids have unique abilities, and you should not discount them.
Yeah.
Alright, so that video was actually shot at least a month and a half ago. I thought it was funny and then didn't have a video to make, and there's the intro. What's up today, guys? If this is your first time here, my name is Alex Young. I have a YouTube channel here where I make vlogs about different topics that I find relevant to my life, and generally that circles around like videography, photography, or entrepreneurship, businessy type things. And mindfulness and minimalism are two things that kind of weave through all of that. So if you're new here and you're into like minimalism or mindfulness, you'll find that a little bit here, like the last video about the Apple Watch. And yeah, here is the final video for 2018. This video being a year-end review. If this is your first time here, it's probably a great place to start, since it'll kind of have a recap of everything that has been on this channel for the last year. This channel's existed for just over a year now. It started off with a daily vlog, so if you want to dive more into the content that I create, there are 368 other videos that you can go watch right now. It's kind of a lot. Anyhow, the theme for this year was intentionality. Even though it didn't really start out that way. And to find out exactly how this started, we're gonna have to go all the way back to January of 2018. Before I began making videos, before I started vlogging or doing anything with cameras, I hosted a podcast called The Powerful Mind. On that podcast, I hosted a guest, Calvin Wayman. Bit of a plug here, you can go ahead and check it out below. He suggested that I begin sharing my own story, and initially my reaction was that I did not want to. The podcast was a platform for me to showcase the stories and like transformational stories of guests who were entrepreneurs and creatives, and like to tell their story and to inspire the listeners with, what was possible if you adopted certain mindset habits that these guys used to achieve their success. But he said you should still begin to share your story. I mean, you're hosting this podcast, you have this platform, people are going to want to know more about you. While I disagreed, I think something in me decided that sharing videos, it could be interesting. I think it's a platform that I'd never really experimented a whole lot with. I decided to take his advice 3 months later and just began recording videos on my iPhone, and then eventually graduated to an iPhone 10. And then following that, the Sony a7 III. But I didn't really know the first thing about vlogging. So I went onto YouTube and just typed in vlog. Casey Neistat was like the first result that popped up. So I just hit that video because I didn't know what a vlog was. And I thought, you know, hey, this is actually kind of cool what this guy's doing. He's recording his day, just his day, but for some reason it was engaging. And I hadn't the slightest idea like how to do that. And if you go back and watch the early videos, you will see I had no idea how to tell a compelling story out of my day. But he proposed an interesting concept. He said that his channel didn't really begin growing and his skills began to stagnate until he started doing a daily vlog. And so I figured if I want to do this, you know, I should start recording daily and really challenge myself and go all in. So rather than record monthly or weekly, I decided I'm gonna do a daily vlog. I'm gonna go all in and learn this whole video craft. So I really wanted to learn the craft, and I began putting videos online. The views were small initially, especially on YouTube, but I began putting them on Facebook as well and cross-posting in different places, and people began to notice. And this is actually how I started with the whole freelance video and photo thing. So 2018, through doing the daily vlog, I started doing like a small side hustle of videography, which was completely unplanned, but still cool. Fast forward 3 months, it's 7 in the morning, it's a Monday, and I'm recording video for a young professionals boot camp. I began the year not really knowing what I was gonna do with this thing. I'm just like, you know, it's an interesting challenge, it's creative, it's a cool way for me to just take something that's separate from my work and just, you know, pour myself into it, like a hobby. Essentially, I found a new hobby to do. Here I found myself doing video professionally for an organization here in Columbus, and people were actually watching the videos that I created, and that was something that I wasn't expecting. Throughout this whole process, I'm still creating a new video for the vlog every single day. This continued with one event leading to another, eventually culminating, at least in my opinion, with the most interesting event being a summer, like a corporate sporting event that myself and a friend went to go shoot. This whole thing, all these gigs, it's entirely unexpected. Thinking back on it, none of this would have happened had I not made the decision to begin recording videos on my iPhone SE. Sounds really silly, but it just gets better. So I love telling stories. Throughout this whole process, I'd been telling and sharing the stories of entrepreneurs and creatives and going around sharing my own story as I went to different events around Columbus. And I also jumped on the chance when it came up to fly over to Malaysia and Taiwan to capture more scenes for a documentary that I began working on. I wanted to continue sharing and telling stories, but I thought that, you know, an American, like a Western perspective was interesting, but there are, these days with this global economy, there are people doing this kind of thing all over the world, and I want to try and capture entrepreneurship from a different perspective. So when the opportunity came up, I jumped on it and flew across the sea to do this, to tell this story. I wasn't really sure what to expect out of it, but in the same way that I've been learning more about myself and about others through the camera, I figured that I would be able to learn even more if I jumped out of my comfort zone and surrounded myself in an unfamiliar environment and learn from others as well. And of course, capture it all on camera. Now, you might be asking yourself, or at least I was, like, what am I doing shooting a documentary while hosting a weekly podcast, while shooting daily vlogs, while also still working full-time, and also working as a freelancer. I've been running a podcast for the better part of 2 years, and during that, you know, throughout that period, more and more podcasts began popping up with the same style of interview format. They're talking to entrepreneurs, talking to creatives, and sharing their story of transformation and how they achieved their own success. Now, some of these podcasts focused more on the business end, some of them focused more on the emotional or the personal end. I was told that my show focused, you know, it was like a business podcast about people. And while that was great, I really wanted to try and find a way to add more value to both the guests, to the listeners, and to myself through storytelling, and especially the storytelling format that I was learning through video. So, you know, I had begun incorporating video into the podcast, but I wanted to find a different way to tell that story. I had thought back to a few documentaries that I had seen that were really, really impactful on me, and that was part of the inspiration for shooting the documentary. But also, I thought that if I could learn that style of storytelling with video and I could apply that to the podcast, then that would be a format that I could use to add more value to both the listeners, to the guests, to myself, and just make the whole process more fun, more engaging, and more interesting. All the things that we've talked about in this video so far, this whole 2018, has been the result of intentional decisions that were just, I made them with the intent to add more value, to learn more, and to share more meaningful stories. So, I mean, in summary, 2018 was an incredibly eventful year, and it wasn't until I had looked back, like sometimes literally on the footage, that everything that happened, all the events throughout the year, they were all the result of intentional decisions that I had made along the way. This year, I've really honed in on the fact that I genuinely enjoy telling and sharing stories. When I look back on everything that I've done this year, and more specifically like the why behind why I did those things, they all have something in common. I want to tell more stories, and I want to add more value. And one of the things that I've come back to especially, I think there's this whole idea of intentionality and goal setting being one and the same, but an intentional decision doesn't always have to have the outcome that you want it to have or that you think it's going to have. Happiness and health, I think they're the most important things, and it's kind of the why behind we do what we do. You know, I want to tell both mine and others' stories in the best way that I can, and that leads a lot of my decision making now. And it made for a great 2018. So that's my year in retrospect. It's pretty interesting, all that's happened, and look forward to seeing you again here in 2019. That's it for now. Catch you in the next one.